US President Donald Trump meets with Syria's interim president during Saudi Arabia visit and lifts sanctions on Damascus.
The EU's top court decided that the European Commission failed to plausibly explain why it does not possess the text messages between President Ursula von der Leyen and Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla.
US President Donald Trump met with interim Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara in Saudi Arabia on Wednesday, the first encounter between leaders of the two nations in 25 years. The historic meeting on the sidelines of Trump's summit with Gulf Cooperation Council leaders in Riyadh saw the US leader clear the way for sanctions relief on Damascus.
We are currently exploring normalizing relations with Syria's new government, as you know. I am also ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria to give them a fresh start. It gives them a chance for greatness. The sanctions were really crippling, very powerful.
According to the White House, Trump's closed meeting with al-Shara lasted just over 30 minutes. Syria's foreign ministry said Trump and al-Shara discussed how both nations could partner to fight groups such as the so-called Islamic State. Many analysts believe the meeting marks a significant shift for Syria, which is attempting to chart a new path forward after the abrupt fall of Bashar al-Assad last year.
The European Court of Justice ruled against the European Commission on Wednesday in a major transparency case concerning COVID-19 vaccine deals. Judges found the Commission failed to plausibly explain why it doesn't possess text messages between President Ursula von der Leyen and Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla.
That will be ready to use.
The New York Times brought the case to obtain access to messages about the procurement of billions of euros worth of vaccines. The court stated that if such documents cannot be located, the Commission must provide credible reasons and not just claim they are missing.
And the New York Times Company versus European Commission.
Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine was the first authorized in the EU in December 2020, leading to huge contracts in 2021. The New York Times learned of the messages in 2021, but the Commission could not provide them, leading to the January 2023 court case. Reacting to Wednesday's ruling, the Commission said it will study the decision and issue a new and more detailed explanation. It reiterated its commitment to transparency, though an official cited the difficulty of registering all informal messages.
A passionate European.
The court found that the Commission had not clarified whether the texts were deleted, how or why, and did not detail its search efforts.
Decision C.
The newspaper had argued that the texts qualify as documents under EU access rules and should be made available.
2022.
The Commission now has 2 months to appeal the ruling in a significant case on EU transparency. Pfizer and its CEO did not immediately react to the court's ruling.
Kedden éjfélkor nyújtották be azt a törvényjavaslatot, amely büntetni rendeli azokat a szervezeteket, amelyek külföldről támogatást fogadnak el, és közben veszélyeztetik úgymond a magyar szuverenitást. A magyar szuverenitás veszélyeztetése rendkívül tágan van ebben a javaslatban körülírva. Ide tartozik a demokratikus vita befolyásolása, vagy bármilyen tevékenység, amely a választások kimenetelét befolyásolhatja, tehát például a kormányzati korrupció leleplezése. Ez alá tartozik. A büntetés pedig a külföldi támogatás 25-szörösének megfizetése bírságként, illetve ezek a szervezetek elesnek a személyi jövedelemadó 1%-ok fogadásának lehetőségétől, ami az egyik fő finanszírozási forrása a független civil szférának, illetve a független magyar sajtónak. Tehát ez a jogszabály, amennyiben teljes szigorral alkalmazzák majd, el fogja lehetetleníteni anyagilag a független civil szférát, illetve a független magyar sajtót. Tanács Gábor, Euronews, Budapest.
The Trump administration wants clarity on how other NATO members plan to boost their defense spending to 5% of their GDP. The U.S. ambassador to NATO, Matthew Whitaker, insisted 5% is a necessity as the alliance is facing significant threats. He, however, did not elaborate on what those threats were. When Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine entered its second year in 2023, NATO members had agreed to spend at least 2% of their GDP on national defense budgets. U.S. President Donald Trump has previously cast doubt over whether the U.S. would defend allies that spend too little. However, some countries have become uneasy about Trump's links to his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. Leaders are now expected to establish a new goal ahead of the Hague NATO summit in June.
Avem un război la graniță și orice român rațional începe să înțeleagă că apărarea nu mai este un serviciu gratuit. Adică faptul că suntem o țară sigură nu este o chestiune care vine de la sine. Apărarea înseamnă și niște costuri și una din perspectivele diferite pe care Statele Unite, în calitate de principal contributor la NATO, care este scutul nostru de apărare, și țările europene, a fost reproșul, pe bună dreptate, către europeni, că în timp ce Statele Unite au peste 3% din PIB-ul lor pentru cheltuieli de apărare, dintre care o parte se duc la apărarea Europei, țările europene au ajuns la 2,2-2,3%, și deci e nevoie de o creștere a bugetelor pentru apărare. Noi fiind cei mai apropiați din est, de zona de conflict, alături de Polonia, de țările baltice, cu siguranță percepem acest pericol destul de puternic și deci România, ca și celelalte țări, va trebui să-și crească bugetele de apărare. Există acest război hibrid, iar niște țări europene slăbite, în care nu există autoritate, în care nu există capacitate de a lua decizii strategice, pentru că lumea politică are niște conflicte insuportabile, nu se mai înțeleg între ei, cu un spectru politic divizat, nu face decât să slăbească apărarea Europei și aceste state își consumă puținele energii câte le mai au, să-și rezolve problemele interne, nu să facă niște politici care să le ducă la potențialul maxim. Era în interesul țării noastre ca frontul ucrainean să nu cadă, pentru că orice apropiere a Rusiei, orice avans înspre vest, pe litoralul Mării Negre, de exemplu, înspre Republica Moldova, era un factor agravant pentru România și pentru securitatea Europei. Și deci am susținut această politică pentru că, în primul rând, este interesul țării noastre și al Europei, dar și din solidaritate pentru Ucraina, pentru că ei nu luptă doar pentru ei.
Former Uruguayan President José Mujica, famed for his humble lifestyle, has died at 89. Known as Pepe, the former guerrilla was shot 6 times in a firefight with police. He twice escaped custody, but spent long stretches in solitary confinement under the military dictatorship and nearly 15 years in prison altogether before entering politics after a 1985 amnesty. He was elected to parliament in 1994, appointed as the agricultural minister in 2005, and finally became his country's 14th president, receiving 52% of the vote, serving from 2010 to 2015. Mujica shunned the presidential palace, living in his simple farmhouse and driving an old Volkswagen Beetle. During his presidency, Uruguay legalized marijuana, same-sex marriage, and decriminalized abortion.
Lo que tenemos claro que lo que venimos haciendo en materia de represión de droga.
Mujica was diagnosed with cancer last spring, which had recently spread. Tributes from Latin American leaders praised his humility and legacy as the funeral procession of Mujica began on Wednesday.
José Mujica.
Uruguay's president, Yamando Orsi, called him a guide and leader with a profound love for his people. Mexico's Claudia Sheinbaum called him an example for Latin America. Chile's Gabriel Boric said he inspired hope.
Un tumor en el esófago, que es algo obviamente muy comprometido.
The 78th Cannes Film Festival opened on Tuesday, bringing together the world's most famous cinema personalities to celebrate another year of storytelling. Day one featured a star-studded lineup from world-renowned filmmaker Quentin Tarantino to supermodel Bella Hadid. American actors Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro, who've worked alongside each other on 3 occasions, stole the show on the opening day. DiCaprio, who skipped the red carpet, awarded veteran 81-year-old De Niro with an honorary Palme d'Or.
But every once in a while, even the most private of giants deserves their moment, a moment to be acknowledged, not just for their work, but for the quiet, lasting influence they've had on so many lives, on my life. So without trying to speak for the entire world of cinema here tonight, but probably doing it anyway, there is no one more deserving of this Palme d'Or Lifetime Achievement Award than Mr. Robert De Niro.
De Niro, an outspoken critic of Donald Trump, quickly shifted the moment to politics as he slammed the U.S. president for his administration's attacks on arts and culture.
America's Philistine president has had himself appointed head of one of our premier cultural institutions. He has cut funding and support to the arts, humanities, and education. And now he has announced a 100% tariff on films produced outside the U.S. Let that sink in for a minute. You can't put a price on creativity, but apparently you can put a tariff on it. Of course, this is unacceptable. All these attacks are unacceptable.
The opening ceremony concluded a hectic day which featured a 3-film tribute to Ukraine and the premiere of a restored version of Charlie Chaplin's iconic The Gold Rush, which celebrates its centenary this year. French actress Juliette Binoche will head the 78th edition of the festival's jury. The jury, which also includes Halle Berry and Jeremy Strong, will watch all 22 films vying for this year's Palme d'Or and decide on the recipient on the 24th of May.